Hello and welcome to my scary story collection. Sit back, enjoy, and just relax to some creepy tales from the past and the present. See you soon.
Helena by N.M. Brown. Hot dogs and hamburger meat sizzled in the afternoon air at the Andrews barbecue. Quarantine had let up just enough that everyone felt safe having a summer block party. Children giggled as they chased each other through the sprinkler systems. Mothers looked on from over their sunglasses as they talked about the latest updates in education and other changes to the new world. I stood next to Harry Andrews, making eyes at my wife Hannah in between sips of cold beer. Hannah was prattling on about something or other, but all I was focused on was getting home. I couldn't wait to put the kids to bed, crack open another cold beer, and cuddle up with my wife. Hell, if things went well, chances were I may even get lucky. Our daughter Olivia was playing in the grass with other neighborhood girls, holding her doll protectively. I saw her flinch and pull away as the Tompkins girl asked to hold it. "Hey, come on now, sweetheart. You know you're supposed to share," I said softly. She clutched the doll closer in response. I walked over to her. "Well, if you don't want anyone playing with her, at least let me hold on to her until we get home. It isn't fair to the other kids. Okay, honey?" Her large brown eyes looked up at me disappointedly before handing me the doll. "Thank you, Olivia. That was a very grown-up good decision to make, and I'm proud of you." Turning my attention back to Harry, I wondered if he had been rambling on this entire time. I barely caught the tail end of his sentence. Creepy-ass little thing. I shook my head with widened eyes in apology. Come again?" "That," he said, motioning to the doll still clenched in my right hand. I looked down and laughed. "Who? Helena? Nah, she's a good gal. Dolls just have a bad reputation. Horror writers, directors, and whatnot. That's what they do. Take the most beloved, innocent things and fill them with malevolent evil. It hits home with everybody. I love it." My eyes gleamed with excitement, and I could tell I lost his interest about halfway through. "At least we're even," I thought wryly. "We got her at an old estate sale. Livy just loves her. If it keeps them quiet, what can I say, you know?" I shrugged. The satin of the doll's dress began to slip through my fingers, causing me to re-tighten my grip. I raised her to eye level for further examination. Helena had glassy blue eyes. An amused expression was painted on her porcelain lips. She had long golden curls, a direct contrast to my daughter's. Olivia always complained about having lame brown hair and eyes like a mouse. No idea what that meant, but to her dramatic 7-year-old mind, it sounded like a fate worse than death. I think that's why Olivia was so drawn to her. Everyone thinks grass is greener on the other side, even kids. My daughter will always be one of the most beautiful girls on earth. She would see that eventually, but if she needed this doll to keep her company in the meantime, who was I to deny her such a harmless request? A short while after everyone had eaten, I saw a group of kids start to walk towards the woods. Olivia bounced excitedly in her seat. "Can I go with them, Mommy, please?" she whined, looking at my wife expectantly. Hannah shrugged her shoulders and looked at me in response. "I don't know, Bug," I began. "It will be getting dark here soon. You should stay where we can see." Come on, Sammy," Harry interrupted, clapping me on the shoulder harder than what was necessary for the occasion. "The kids are just going out to play flashlight tag and pick some delicious blackberries. We have tons of wild bushes out there this time of year. If they pick enough of them, or don't eat them all first, I'll have Lori make a pie." He gestured to his wife as she nodded. I looked from Harry to Hannah, to Olivia, and back again. Well, okay," I relented. "But only for a little while. We're going to be leaving here in about 20 minutes, so stay sharp." She giggled excitedly as she leapt from the table. Her little feet got her halfway across the yard, when she suddenly stopped, turned around, and ran back. Her hands were outstretched as she bounced on her toes impatiently. I looked to the doll next to me, hesitating before handing it to her. She grabbed it and went to run, but I held firm. "Hey," I whispered, getting her attention. "Stay with the other kids. Don't let yourself get separated, you got it?" She nodded gratefully before making a beeline to the woods. We drank lightly, smoking a bit as we continued to engage in some much-needed, childless conversation. We giggled and shared old memories, so caught up in nostalgia that I didn't notice that the sun had almost completely set. The Browns' eldest boy, Stuart, came rushing up to the table, eyes wild and breathless. "Mr. Roberts," he stammered. "Livy fell and hit her head. Her eyes were closed for a second, but she woke up and now she's just laying there." I bolted from the table and ran for the woods, Hannah following close behind. "Don't worry, she probably just got her bell rung," I assured my wife as we broke through the tree line. "Happens all the time in football." A failed attempt at levity on my part. Our little girl lay in the leaves and dirt, staring blankly at the sky above her. Helena lay 6 or so feet away, her face buried in the woodland dirt. As awful as it was, all I can remember thinking was that if Olivia broke her doll, she'd be devastated. But at that time, the doll was the least of our problems. "Livy, honey." I knelt down next to her. Stray beams of sunlight were shining through the overhead tree branches. I moved my face out of the way of the light to test the dilation of her eyes. "You're okay," I soothed. "You just lay there for a second and get your bearings, all right?" Her eyes reacted normally, but she still wasn't saying anything. I picked her up, taking solace in feeling her melt into my arms with relief and exhaustion. Poor kid. The ride home wasn't much different. We put her and Helena to bed, unbroken thankfully, by the way, and resumed our evening activities. Everything seemed normal. I even checked on her throughout the night to make sure she was still breathing, just as I had done during her infancy. I awoke to the alarming sound of silence. Anyone living with kids in the house understands exactly what I mean. Hannah laid peacefully next to me, sound asleep. I crept out of bed as carefully as possible to investigate the unsettling stillness. It broke the moment I entered the hallway leading to her room. A muffled but shrill whine screamed from underneath the hum of the air conditioning. I quickened my pace to her room and flung open the door. My little girl lay in bed, in the same position she had been in all night. Her back was straight against her mattress, and she lay as stiff as glass. I crept over to her, noticing that her eyes were wide open. Her gaze was glassy. Her eyes took on a concerning shade of pale gray, almost blue, and she refused to answer when I spoke to her. Every time I tried to get a handle on my thoughts, the whining shattered my concentration, penetrating my crumbling resolve. Sitting on the edge of her bed, the noise grew deafeningly loud. How the hell could she sleep through that? Helena's face was smashed against her chest. I reached out and moved Helena, dropping her to the mattress in horror upon seeing her face. A scream clawed its way up my diaphragm and exploded through my quivering lips. A torrent of sound was unleashed the second that I removed the doll's mouth from the tufts of my daughter's nightgown. Helena stared at me with horrified brown eyes, drew in a breath, and screamed.
Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and by all means, if you want to watch some more killer videos, they're up there. You want to watch some more survivor videos, they're up there. See you next time.